good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching us, to NUFC Talk TV, the breakfast show, which is obviously done at midday here in England. Confusing? Yes, you will be by the end of it. Welcome to myself, Gary, and my mate, the mighty Win, my right-hand man, who's going to, obviously, we're going to go through some of the news and some talking points throughout this show. But before we start, let's do the housework and we'll crack on. So again, welcome to everybody that's watching across all platforms. Please don't forget, if you're watching over on X at some point during the show, just stop, pause, jump onto YouTube, search NUFC Talk TV, and then hit the like, hit the subscribe, and ring the bell for us. Thanks to everybody that's working in the background. As always, they do a great job. Don't forget, like I've just said, please hit the like if you enjoy the show. It just helps us grow as a channel. Subscribe, it's totally free. Ding that bell for future content. And if you want to support the club or the channel, if you like, become a member for a small monthly fee, and it gives you a chance to win a prize and obviously a little bit of a behind the scenes content that we do. Well, Chris does most of it for the members. And obviously we do give away some prizes periodically. If you've got a question for either me or Win, or for the both of us, put a Q in front of the question just so we can highlight it in the chat. Apologies if we don't mention everything, but obviously you guys like to talk amongst yourselves in the chat, but we will highlight some of the things that we feel we can have a talk about, and obviously all gifts and memberships and things like that will be highlighted and read out as we go. And again, just to clarify, we have got a web page that's probably running a little bit sorrow at the moment because obviously there's not been much content to put in there. But if you want to read something that's totally ad free, we do it free of charge. Please go to nufctalk.tv to have a look at anything on there. So, my mate Win, how are we? Well, it doesn't seem like 5 minutes, does it? This Sunday night to Monday dinner time, Monday lunchtime for us.
I'm in a good bit better fettle than I was last night.
Yeah, you look knackered last night, bless you. But you see, that I couldn't do what you did yesterday. Is have a afternoon kip and then come on because I just feel
that
worse.
was a mistake. That was a mistake.
Yeah. I must admit, I
just
suffer
we've got Mason in the chat who was on last night, of course, and
yeah.
I love what he's saying. Because Hot Meat's in the chat. And Mason says, "Oh, Meat, what you always so negative for?" And I agree with you, Mason. You know,
well,
dear.
Well, like I said, everybody has a point to talk about, and that's what I said. That's why we love doing what we're doing, because it's just nice to hear what fans actually think about NUFC, talk about NUFC, and the majority of it is just trying to work out, where are we as we stand at the moment. We've got 18 days left of the transfer window to go, so it shouldn't all be doom and gloom. But I must admit, we're gonna touch on what the mag has written about today, and we'll do that a little bit later. I'm just gonna quickly go into the chat and say hello to everybody that's with us. At the minute, what we got Marty, NUFC. Morning, folks. Morning, Marty Mag. I hope you're well, sir. Armeet is normal. Good morning, Armeet. Trolls, good morning, buddy. Who else we got here? As you said, Mason's in the chat. I'm in the chat, believe it or not. Geordie 2 for life. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, my friend. And who else is there? Warren, good morning, buddy.
Trolls and Lee and Sergeant Charles
Lee,
Sim.
Sergeant's in. 80s Gamer for life.
Says, good morning, Sean. And Chris, Lee. The American Mag's actually woken up.
Wow, good morning.
5 o'clock or something stupid like that in the morning over there.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. So, like I said, what we're going to do, we're going to, do you want to hit on what you sent me this morning about Chelsea and the wage structure? Do you want to talk about it? Because obviously
Yeah,
we
I was
had
just interested to see, because Chelsea again linked with another 2 players this morning,
yeah.
and I just went to check, and Chelsea's wage bill. This is purely wages per season now, without any of the new players coming in, is £195 million annual wage bill. Now, they only receive about 140 million from Sky, and the proposed new league expenditure rules that are being brought in at the beginning of next season will limit spending to 75% of the revenue of the lowest earning club in the league. That's a bit highly convoluted. But effectively what it will mean is that Chelsea, depending on what multiplication factor they use, because there's a lot of discussion at the minute as to whether it's going to be 4.5, 4.5, whatever. It'll mean that Chelsea are virtually up to their limit already on what they can actually spend. So they have to get rid of players. Now, obviously, Madueke has been tentatively linked with the tune by a few sources over the last few weeks. And he's only on 50k a week at the minute. Obviously, we'd have to pay him more than that, but that's looking more and more likely, and I'm quite, I wouldn't mind him. I'd prefer Mbuemo, but Madueke will do it at a pinch, and they've got to offload. They've got to offload some players. So I don't think there will be a hard negotiators.
But we were talking.
Saying that Chelsea will be deducted so many points they will play National League with their wage bill. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said. I don't know how, and we've said this from the start, matey, haven't we? I don't know how they keep spending, without any question. And like I say, I know Stefan Borson mentioned it. Them throwing themselves further and further up the road with the money that they keep spending, with all the concerns and everything else that goes beyond it. So for me, it's like when I look at where we are in this. Sorry, mate, go on.
I'm just going to stick this up so everybody can see it.
All right, okay. This is, for me, where we are. We were talking about potentially grabbing Sterling, but the money that Sterling's on per week, he will never ever come to this club. He will never ever come to us because was he 350,000 a week?
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. It's criminal. So there you go. So this is reported by Sport Track, everybody. So I don't really know.
They've got almost 195 million. So they're the second highest players. That's after Man U, I believe. And if you look at some of these players, I mean, they're paying Lukaku £325,000 a week, and he's never played for them for God knows how long. So they're paying his wages because you can guarantee whoever he's been playing for hasn't been paying that amount of wages. They simply couldn't afford it. And you've got Sterling on 325 a week, Reece James on 250, Chilwell on 200, both for foreigners, 200 each. Nkuku, 195, and so it goes on, and there's just never ending. So it's how are they able to get away with that? That's what I can't understand.
No, nor me. And that's what I said. It's beyond belief with me that this team just seems to be able to continue to spend uh, on players, and like I say, unfortunately, then what seems to be happening all of the homegrown players. But again, I read this morning that Conor Gallagher's deals fell through. Um, so
Yeah,
unfortunately,
that's because they wanted, was it Felix from Atletico?
something like that, wasn't it? They
And
wanted one player.
so because one's fallen through, the other one's fallen through. Now, you're not a big Gallagher fan, are you?
No, never have been.
No, I think
He's a lot. I know he's a box to box lad, but for me, when I look at quality, um, from a midfield especially, now people are always going to say, well, he's going to be an upgrade on Longstaff. He is, but for me, what I want to start seeing from our midfield, because at the end of the day, I allude to it every time I talk about it, the midfield is the gateway to the attack. It's also a gateway to the defence. So for me, you've got to have somebody in there that, yes, does the box to box, but for me, he's not far away. And I am going to get smacked by this. There's too many similarities for me between him and Longstaff. I'd want to I'd want something different. Like Tonali's a bit different, from what I've seen of Tonali in Milan. Obviously, we didn't see too much of him at Newcastle, but I'd want somebody who can get stuck in there somewhere. Somebody who's more of a general six than somebody who's just going to keep pushing on and pushing on, because we've already got that. And that's what I said. What we've seen in the past is we found ourselves wide open to the ball over the top, and even the lesser teams. And again, I don't want to cause anybody a disservice by saying lesser teams. But teams that we would expect to get 3 points from literally pulled our pants down and smacked us last year because of one simple ball over the top. And yes, even though I believe we have got a better squad now, as in depth, because that's something that, again, we spoke about before. Um, I still think in our current climate, in the way we play with this high press and everybody pushing on, even like I say, and I've said before, when you've got two central defenders that are in the opposition half pressing man to man when we're trying to get the ball back, that little ball over the top is gonna destroy us. And I'd rather see a little bit more discipline with Eddie Howe going into this next year, rather than trying to win the ball back on the edge of the penalty area. I We have got a little bit of pace, and that's for me that's a godsend now, because you've got Lewis Hall and Tino, fullbacks that can always tuck round, and just fill that void if our lads, our two centre halves, do decide to push on. Um, but it does worry me. It is a concern of the way Eddie Howe. Don't get me wrong, 70% of the time when we win it back, and like I say, as you saw this weekend against Girona hadn't got a clue how to play it. Yes, they are just, I suppose, a few games into their pre-season, so they looked a little bit on the heels. But that high press, especially J7, was phenomenal, winning the ball back umpteen times, and I think his um, his pressing and winning that ball back when he did, I think created 3 of our 4 goals. And like I say, you can't fault that, and you can't fault the system that Eddie Howe wants. I just think we need to be a little bit more aware of that ball over the top, especially this season, because there's going to be there's lots of teams now with all the changes that can uh, also adopt that quick break, as we saw last year. I think that's going to be the opposition's aim this year, is to allow us to press to try and
a,
get the
cou-
ball over the top for a winger.
a couple of things what you said there, because actually Tonali for me isn't like a terrier tackler kind of player. He tends to, for me, he tends to use his brain more than his brawn. So he tends to beat the opposition player to the ball as opposed to dispossessing them. I don't think that's
Mm,
necessarily his game. But the other thing is, I think with Lloyd Kelly,
mm,
if we can keep him fit,
mm,
uh, we've got the pace there then in the centre that we haven't had up to now, because the one thing our back four has always lacked is pace. Trips is not the fastest, Share's definitely not the fastest, Botman sort of so-so, and Byrne wasn't the fastest. But if you stick Kelly into that, he has got the recovery pace, and he can tackle, by the way,
Well,
as he
he
showed
can.
on Saturday.
But there was times, before you crack on, mate. But there was times, like I said, where I saw Kraft in the number 10 position, and Byrne then followed Kraft because there was one of their centre forwards went deep to try and create the space. And then what you had is Burns literally in their off beyond the centre circle. And what that does then, unless our fullbacks tuck in, because obviously everybody goes man for man, so it only leaves one body spare across the whole of the park. And what we had then was, if they would have been cute enough just to push the ball into the space, if we ain't on our guard at the back in the Premier League, that could hurt us. And that's my concern. And for me, that's why I said I would love to look at more of a defensive minded midfielder rather than a box to box midfielder, which obviously that's what Eddie Howe brings Longstaff in for, because he loves that energy apparently. But as of yet, my jury's out. I've enjoyed his pre-season, but I just want him to continue what he's doing and potentially get better if he can get better. Because he can like I said, we saw him, when we played Brest, and we said there's a couple of balls that was in the box, and if Longstaff was playing, he would have filled that void where the ball went to, in and around the penalty area, and we hadn't got a single body anywhere near it, which made Sanusi's actual cross look really poor. And that's what I'm saying. But I understand what you're saying with it.
Yeah,
Sorry for
well,
butting in.
I just think, is there a chance, fingers crossed, is there a chance that those 2 goals, because undoubtedly Longstaff's going to play the first 3 games probably.
I think he's going to have to, isn't he?
Let's just hope that he can take something from it, and we will end up with our pants down.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing I would like more. Whether I can see it actually happening or not, jury's out. But
yeah, I mean,
like most players, confidence counts for so much.
absolutely, and that is exactly what I'm saying. I mean, Warren's. I mean, Mighty Mag's obviously talking about Chelsea. Wage bill is crazy, almost 200 million a year. It is, but again, it just proves how far behind Newcastle is as a club on the commercial side. If they can whack out this type of money on players' wages, their commercial business must be like phenomenal.
Well, funnily enough, that's a funny thing, because Chelsea's wage, out of a total turnover of 590 million, so nearly 600 million.
Yeah.
Their wages is 195 million, nearly 200. So 200, it's about a third.
Yeah.
The player's salary is about a third of that total revenue. Newcastle, with a turnover of 300 million, and our wage bill's 95 million.
Yeah.
Again, it's roughly a third of revenue. So, what we've got to do is build the revenue up. Now, we know the revenue is waiting in the wings. We've got Aramco waiting, Saudi waiting, the Saudi telecommunications company waiting, and we just don't want to do the deals with them yet until until this Man City malarkey's sorted out in terms of the associated party transactions. So when that comes in, it straight away it opens the coffers up a bit more.
Well, that's an interesting, because, like I say, now you've brought that up. Let's go back a few weeks, because obviously we all know that Man City had taken the Premier League to tribunal, if you like, and what they obviously wanted to do was introduced this third-party acquisition because they didn't want their hands tied, which would help us. Now, obviously, there was a question asked of me by a friend of mine about, why haven't we heard anything? And obviously, if anybody hadn't seen Stefan Borson's talk on Talk Sport, he made some inquiry on why you haven't heard anything. Well, if anybody has got the FA rules, or the Premier League rules, I should say, not the FA rules, their handbook clearly states about third parties and the way third parties work and everything else. Now, according to Stefan Borson, I haven't confirmed this. Me and Wynne spoke about it before, but Stefan Borson said he'd had a look at the Premier League rules, and the third party rule has still not changed from post that conversation that Man City had with the representatives of the Premier League. So when you look at it from that aspect, has it gone any further? That's what I'm trying to say. Or is it the fact that the Premier League now are having to rewrite or retype all of these rules and regulations because Man City have won, and now they're going to have to rewrite the rule of the third party ownership things. So from that aspect, we won't know anything because as of yet, there is no change in any of the Premier League ruling regarding third parties. And it will only ever come to, I suppose, public knowledge when that rule changes. It will not be given out by Man City. It will not be given out by the Premier League. But obviously, the likes of Sky Sports will hit on it because obviously they will have their people in the background searching for all the information. But as of yet, there is no change. So take that as you wish. Whether Man City won or whether Premier League have won, we will not know until anything happens in the league rules.
Well,
So
according to Martin from the Mancunian Way,
yeah,
he was saying that both parties, that's Man City legal department and the Premier League legal department, have both signed non-disclosure agreements in terms of, airing in public what's been discovered and decided. So, as you say, the proof of the pudding will be when the new Premier League rules are published, and there isn't a date for that.
No,
as yet. There isn't. There's no legal requirement for them to update them every
because it doesn't
certain
change,
financial period or whatever.
Yeah.
It's entirely in the purview of the Premier League when they do that.
That's right.
So we wait with bated breath. The only other thing we could do is if we were ever to finish up in the situation, God forbid, that we ended up on June the 29th this year when we had to sell Anderson and Minty, we could always just get one of those partners in to sign a year's deal for this year, which would clear whatever the deficit was, and that couldn't be scrutinised. So we need to see where it goes, but we have got money in the background, and someone put in the chat there earlier on, there's no excuse for us not spending big this summer, and I agree with that. I think it's just a question of getting the right players at the right price, because PIF will not be held to ransom. It's all very well everybody like Harmeet and whatnot saying, just pay it, man, just pay it. Chris has said the same thing. Just pay
get them in. Yeah.
No. Because once you go down that road, you're stuck there forever, because everybody knows that you'll just pay it. You have to be prepared to walk away.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at some of the starred. Harmeet's obviously the first one we starred. So, morning, everyone. Parrot third bid is going in for Guehi now. If this fails, God help us all. Yeah, so you said like about...
well, you're saying God help us all. I wouldn't be particularly bothered
They'll have a
if
backup.
if we didn't get Guehi, because we've got Chow in the background,
Yeah.
and there'll be somebody else. But I would far rather get a proven right-handed centre half and not try to convert somebody who's been playing left side for the last 3 years.
I do love you when you say that. Um, for me, I mean, obviously Mitchell was seen down in London yesterday, so obviously there's been some talks going on behind the scenes, I would imagine, with Mitchell and Crystal Palace. Now, the one thing that I look at now, I did feel a bit cheeky, like I said yesterday, when we put in the 40 million bid, which was obviously turned down. The 50 million bid is also a cheeky deal to try and get something done. Um, but I think, like I say, if this is going, because like I said, it's not the end of the world at the minute. We have still got 18 days left. But if they really want this player, they have got to test the water with the amount of money they're willing to spend on him. And that's what I keep saying. If there's a real want for this player, yes, I agree with you. You can't just go in there and just put down the money that they're asking for. You have to see if there's some type of movement on their behalf. But again, it's how stubborn they want to be. Because obviously now it's come to light that Anderson is also now wanted and gone. So if you think about it, Glasner last year must be scratching his head because he was touted to be the next Munich manager. And because Palace, and forgive me if I get these figures wrong, I'm sure they won the last 6 of 7 games. So Glasner was in a situation where he'd got quite a consistent team, got good results coming from them. Now all of a sudden, you've lost Elisa. You're potentially going to lose your 2 centre halves if that comes to. Yes, they've got the money, but is that another reason why they're playing hardball in the price fix? That's what I'm saying. If I was Glasner, I'd have gone to my owner. I'd have said, "Hey, Steve, come on, you are actually ripping the guts of my team apart here, and you expect us to get, it's going to be my job on the line." Is that one of the reasons why they're playing hardball to get as much money out of it as they can? Because, like I say, if not, then before the start of the season, they could have a complete new centre half pairing. So you have to look at it like I was trying to explain it in the bigger picture from the opposition side as well. So from me, I think Glasner's going to get a real smack in the teeth if he's turned the Munich job down because he thought that the team at Crystal Palace was going to stay more or less the same. Um, and then obviously he's gone. He could go into the season with a completely new team. So that's something to think about, I suppose. Trolls has put down Chelsea will be deducted so many points they will play National League, as you've already said. You've done that one. Apologies. I'll meet again. You guys reckon Guehi will come in before Saturday? I do think he'll be. There'll be obviously a yes or no. Now, like I said, it depends on how much we want Guehi, whether and how much money we're willing to put down in this next because there's no bidding war at the minute, and that's the beauty of it. So Newcastle aren't in any race now. Like I said before, if we had another team that were interested in Guehi, then you'd see a totally different. I think you'd see a totally different, um, aggressive bid going in from us. But because we're on our own, as winners, I said, it's like you know we ain't got nobody to fight against us. We can go in with these little cheeky bids because we've still got another 18 days to go. Doesn't mean that they have to be in situ at the start of the season. And yes, it still leaves us a little bit light, especially on the right wing, especially at the right centre back. Um, but what we could do
Well, I
later on, I
think
suppose,
unless we're literally going to sign Guehi today, if
there's
it
no
takes
point.
until tomorrow, by the time he's done his medical, so on and so forth, he won't be. He might be unveiled on Saturday,
Yeah, but he won't
make
be
a
in the
token
starting lineup.
5 minutes appearance or something, or just be introduced to the crowd. But I can't see him starting on Saturday at all.
No, not if it isn't done by the end of play today. I don't think it will be. Um, I don't think he'll be in the squad at all anyway. But that's just my opinion. Well, it's not just my opinion; it's the way Eddie works. Because Eddie, obviously, when we've had the likes of Bruno in the past, he's integrated them slowly into the squad, hasn't he? giving them a few minutes
just
here and there.
on what you were saying as well, by the way, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In the last 9 games at the back end of last season, apart from losing to Man City, which is no disgrace, they won 7 of the other 8. And
It was 7 of 8, not 6 of 7. Okay.
7 of 8, and that was it. That was a draw. 7 wins and a draw against the drew 1-1 with Palace. But I mean, you know, they beat Liverpool, beat West Ham 5-2. They beat us 2-0. They beat Man United. Man United 4-0.
Yeah.
Wolves 3-1. Palace 5-0. Sorry, Villa.
That's Villa you're confusing me. That's why I keep saying Palace.
Right, sorry. They beat Bournemouth, Liverpool, and they beat West Ham 5. They beat us 2-0. Beat Man United 4-0. Wolves 3-1. Palace, Aston Villa 5-0. So yeah. I mean, they were on a proper little route. And if I was a Palace fan, I would be living. You know, Alicia's already gone. They're talking about Eze going. They're talking about potentially us getting Guehi.
That's what I said. I mean, that's what Trousers put here. Look, he's just read that Fulham are after Anderson, and that's right. Fulham have inquired about Anderson apparently. So our owners need to get their heads out of the backsides and sign Guehi before Fulham get Anderson, because if they do decide to come in, I think they want 20 or 25 million.
They've only been offered. I think Fulham have offered 20 million, and Palace have said they want 40 million.
Oh, it's 40 million they want for him. Right, got you.
Yeah.
I thought it was 25 million. I thought they were looking for.
No, 40 apparently.
Right. Okay. Geordie 2 for life. Young Bobby Clark's leaving Liverpool. We should be all over it. Great prospect, and Klopp loved him. Yeah, he played a few minutes under Klopp, didn't he? What did we sell him for to Liverpool? 1.5 million, and what they're looking for now, something in this 16 million bracket, is it? For Bobby Clark? Do you think he's worth punt coming back to the 2?
Well, I was, gutted that he went anyway, but yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I was gutted for 1.5 million. That was just silly money.
Yeah.
But
that was more or less his dad saying,
yeah.
You don't want to be anywhere near Mike Ashley.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I've heard it was Mike Ashley who wanted the deal done anyway. So, but you're right, mate. I'd be all over it like a rash. What's Kun Bob say? As you put up,
I find it all a bit dramatic at the moment. We will get who we get, and I'm happy about it because of the people calling the shots. Here, Kun Bob. We've got a decent team. That's not easy to improve it. That's the point, you see. It's pointless spending money unless you're going to improve the team. And when your team is as good as ours is, it's difficult to improve.
Yeah, it is. Here's a good question from Lee. When can we expect to hear from any points deductions from the Premier League clubs coming this season? Or is it just whenever the Premier League feel like it? Well, I'd be absolutely gutted if I was Leicester City manager and I wouldn't know where we stood regarding points deductions before the start of the season. And then say, come up Christmas, they give them a points deduction. I'd be livid. I would be absolutely livid. I mean, it is mental, isn't it?
I agree under those circumstances, yes. But is that going to happen? I can't see. I think Leicester will be aware before I know we've only got a few days left.
Yeah.
But I think it would be totally unfair for them not to know exactly where they're setting off from. And therefore, if they're going to decide the punishment at a later date, then for me, that punishment should not apply until next season.
Yeah.
Because
'Cause,
you
I mean,
can
you know,
argue that your preparation and all sorts of stuff would have been different for different games under different circumstances.
yeah. But like I said, we're all aware that obviously Leicester are going to be deducted points from the last time they were in the Premiership, which to me, just like I say, just makes it all a little bit sour in my eyes. To be fair, but you know, rules are rules, and they've broken them, and that's the
Yeah.
reasons why we found ourselves in
I mean,
the
to be honest,
situation that we did in
they
June.
should already be lined up because they're being punished for what they did the
That's what I
last
said.
time they
We should
were
know
in.
about it.
So any
Yeah,
punishment that they haven't should already have been lined up, as it were.
that's why I can't understand. As we've only got, like I say, a few days to go now before the start of the season, it's not common knowledge of where they start. But you're right. I have no idea, mate, because there's been nothing mentioned of potential. Chris has put, well, the players like Sterling need to figure out, do they want to get paid or play? They've made their money, so if they choose their career, they might come. I'd take Gallagher in any time. So there you go. He's all for Conor Gallagher coming.
Yeah,
Um,
I
I
would
know
have
you like
Gallagher.
him. I didn't. Again, I didn't see anything that rocked my boat in the Euros. Never mind at Chelsea. Um, but I think
No,
I see.
I'm thinking particularly when he was on loan at Palace the season before. He was
Yeah, but
fantastic.
and forgive me for sounding flippant here because I don't want to. But good potential players, and I'm saying this wholeheartedly. And I'm gonna put one player at mind here, Bruno. Bruno in our current squad looks head and tails above everybody else. But if you was to put Bruno in Arsenal's team, say, do you think he'd still have that same type of vision? As you know, we say you've got to have eye candy as a player. All I'm saying to you is Conor Gallagher, yes, was probably head and shoulders. Well, no, I don't. I'm not going to say head and shoulders, but probably a step up from Crystal Palace. So he's shone, and that's what I allude to. Sometimes a player can come into a team and straight away become the big fish in a very small pool. But when you go to a bigger team, as Conor Gallagher has gone to Chelsea, I haven't seen the same type of form
But he was
or the
player of the
same sort of
season.
player.
He was Chelsea's player of the season.
Yeah, well, but I didn't see it. That's what I'm saying. You know, what I saw at Crystal Palace, I didn't see it at Chelsea. That's all I'm saying. And is that me because I dislike Conor Gallagher? No, I don't dislike the lad. I think he's a good player for certain teams. He'll do a job for you. I just don't think he's the end product that would get us into that next level. That's what I'm saying. That's my ideas. I'd want a creative player, not just a box to box player, because we've got that already. And it'll be interesting to see how Tonali fits in because if he comes with the same as AC Milan, uh, like I say, you'll see a difference in our midfield. But that again, that's just my opinion, and we'll see as and when it continues. Oh, sorry, I haven't mentioned you, Ken. Uh, Kenneth Jar here said Chelsea's are trying to get Joe Felix and Victor Osimhen. They are going to have to sell a lot of players to get those two in. Well, there's nothing looks
Well,
like they're on the move.
Chelsea appear not to have to sell any players to
No,
get
that's what I'm
players in.
saying. It's so different to what everybody else is having to do. Um, Jonathan Shaw, if they're asking too much for Guehi, we should go back to Chow. I
Yep.
don't think he's less of a player, and he's some potential to improve. And I think that we've all said it. If we can't spend too much time looking at one player. If it's the player that they want, then they should just go in and get him. I understand that motivation, because as time creeps on, we do get the chance of losing the other players that we've highlighted previously. So yeah, I mean, there's some fact behind that. Geordie Toon for Life has just put in. There's a third bid gone in now. I've made the third bid for Guehi. So let's watch this
Yeah,
space. I'm just gonna.
Sergeant Charles Zimmer's saying the same. Guy
Yeah,
Keith Downey's just tweeted apparently.
yeah. I'm just gonna have a quick look and just update where we are. But there's nothing seems.
And there's Alan saying it looked like Miggy's going to be here for another season. Doesn't seem to be any interest from any other clubs.
No.
And that's the trouble with all the players that we are trying to offload.
Yeah.
Nobody's interested in them.
No, and that is it, isn't it? You know, we were saying about, like, you know, the potential players that we need to offload, but
You
you've
know,
got
we're
to have
talking about all
interest.
the deadwood that we had last season with your Haydens and your Hendricks and, you know, Jamal Lewis. We're just kind of, they're not good enough, and they're on the wages are too big for anybody to take them off our hands.
Yeah. Just having a quick look at if anybody's put a question in before we move on to the next subject. I mean, obviously,
I don't know what
the,
Bear's saying there. Does that make sense to you? I'm still waiting for
the unveiling of Kubos in Japan.
Who's Kubos?
Kubos is again. There's. Let me just before I, unfortunately,
No
is
idea.
that is that the video game? My son was mentioning something.
Oh, not snazzy, jazzy. The sponsors.
Sponsors or something. Yeah, is that what it is?
Well, they were a
Kubos
gaming
expands ground
company,
control.
but that was apparently that was purely for the Japan tournament. Nothing to do with ongoing sponsorship.
No. I think this is it's. My son was telling me something that there's a documentation about Qbos is a platform that provides tools and libraries for satellite developers to quickly bring up space-ready software or something like that. He's into all that stuff. I mean, I haven't got a blooming clue. If that's what he's on about, I don't know, but it's not. I don't think it's football related. I mean, I might be totally wrong.
Oh, Kubo,
But
the right winger.
oh well, yeah. There's a bit of a difference with Kubo. But what have I starred here? James Cuff. Is it me, or do our transfer sagas seem to last a lot longer than other clubs and potentially leave them open to other clubs snipping at them? At the last minute, thinking Madison, Diaby, Zoboslai. Well, if you obviously ask my mate here to the side of me, he thinks we've had a bit of a near miss regarding Diaby and Zoboslai. Even though I think Zoboslai he is going to be a good midfielder. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking in the background. It sounds like the postman always knocks twice at my house for some unknown reason. But you got I I do believe that Zoboslai will become a good player. If I'm honest, there is a lot in him that I like, but again, he plays in that more deeper role, which is what I want. But now I've looked at Kelly, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the one thing that I love to see at Kelly. And obviously we all saw this on the weekend. So let's just throw it, and this is that availability from deep, if you like, which I want to see more of this year. So when you look at this ball that Kelly played to set off Barnes,
14
it's the
minutes
type of
played.
player we
Newcastle
need.
United 0, Brest 0. Barnes again. Will he
Beautiful
get
knock
to this
over
to
the
keep
top
it
there.
in? I think he will. He's a one-on-one situation from which to emerge. He might get the shot through. It is Barnes. He scores. Harvey Barnes.
There you go.
Beautifully done.
That ball over the top for me.
Newcastle.
That ball over the top for me
Get that off quick, I think.
Yeah, is exactly where you want. Well, that's from Newcastle's website, matey. So I'm not so problematic with their website because they'll be happy for us to highlight their stuff. But you know, for me, that's the type of play we want to see from. If we can create like that for our centre halves, that's where Harvey Barnes thrives when he's given space to run on, not to beat a player because he hasn't got that electric pace, the same as Gordon. But when he's got space to run into, and then keep the ball under control, and then bring a defender onto him, he is a good player when it comes to them one-on-ones situation. So for me, that's going to be going forward. Yeah. if you want to have a look at anything in the stars, because I'm just going to quickly go on to what James has more or less said here about the transfer sagas and stuff. What I had read this morning, excuse me, I'm just going to clear my throat. What I did see this morning, and I'm going to highlight them. It's from the mag. I read what the mag was writing about this morning, and it's more about like you say, about the transfer saga. So I'm going to literally read it verbatim. Like I say, it goes on to say about Newcastle United owners are following the Mike Ashley transfer blueprint, which obviously sent my ears pricking a little bit when I read the headlines. And they go on to say that the current Newcastle United owners really do seem to be following the purported Mike Ashley model when it comes to transfers. And is it working? However, their success in executing that transfer plan also brings into sharp focus the many failures of the Ashley regime. Moreover, their ability to implement the transfer model is still being hindered by the legacy and incompetence left behind by the previous regime, and that's what we went on to say. Just you've got to understand, guys. As much as we have the money, we don't have the support regarding the power behind the scenes because of the Mike Ashley era. He did take us to sword, if you like, regarding the sponsor deals that he had with the club. So it goes on to say, what is the Mike Ashley model? And they've put it down as this. For many years, football writers described the transfer policy under Ashley as one of adopting a policy of buying young, promising players with high sell-on potential. As far back as 2008, Ashley found himself described the necessity of scouting the globe for young and, more tellingly, inexpensive talent if the club were to be successful in the long term. Then they go on to say, however, in reality, the on-field legacy of the Mike Ashley era showed the inability of the club's leadership to execute this vision effectively. This wasn't a scouting issue. During the Ashley regime, the scouting team identified and signed enough targets that did fit this remit to suggest that there were people at the club who understood football well enough to consider signings like Musa Sissoko, I can never say Wijnaldum. It's always a word that gets around my Wijnaldum, Kabay, etc., etc. All of these players added something on the pitch and were ultimately sold for a profit, as per the model stated. However, consider also where the policy went awry. Looking back in the 2008 statement from Ashley, it seems laughable now to cite Xisco as an exceptional young talent. Danny Guthrie, Sebastian Basong are also cited as core examples by Ashley. And while both players are due respect for some of their performance in the Newcastle shirt, neither are any greater proof of the effectiveness of the Ashley regime's ability to implement the transfer policy than Xisco. Basong was sold for a profit of 7.5 million one year, and Ashley gave his statement after reportedly turning down a higher bid, which prompted the player to agitate for a move after the club were relegated. Guthrie left on a free in 2012. Xisco did the same in 2013. So, without going too far, I mean, because obviously what they go into now is they go into
well, I mean,
we've done.
Ryan Foster's just saying there that at the time, Ashley's chief scout was Graham Carr, who had fantastic connections in France. So we got a lot of young players from France. A lot of young players.
Yeah.
And Graham Carr did a fantastic. He earned
great
every
job.
penny. He earned every penny of his whatever salary he got.
Yeah.
We've got a few. I've started a few chats here.
Yeah, come on. Because I'm just going to finish off what they've put down in
All right, sorry.
a minute. No, go on. No, that's what I said. This is going to start, obviously, people thinking about the model that Ashley used compared to the model that we're using today, and that's why I thought it was, I suppose, necessary to bring it in when James was talking about, why are we so delayed in the transfer market? Is it about getting the right players in to fit the jigsaw? Is it about, like I say, this Ashley thing about getting the younger, cheaper players into for a sell-on value?
Well, no, I don't think it is. It's what we just said before. Our squad is so good now that to improve it, it's not easy. You're talking about proper elite. You're going to have to be an elite footballer to come in and walk straight into that first team.
Yeah, and change
so
it.
you just got to be careful. But when are Newcastle United going to wake up? Murphy 8 years, Mickey 6 years. We haven't signed a right winger since we were taken over. It's been a problem for 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, you're not wrong.
No.
But again, if you look at Murphy's stats last season, which astounded me, he's best in the league.
Yeah, but that's only for chance creation, and that's what I said. There's still a lot that you want or you require from your right winger. The biggest problem I find, you see, is the fact that it's the work ethics of the Eddie Howe that you've got to look at as well. Is the fact that he wants all of his players, especially the wingers,
that's something Trull said
also
there.
be fullbacks as well.
Win forgets that Howe would improve Szoboszlai and Diaby if we got them, and I've got no doubt that would happen. Actually,
absolutely, yeah. But like I say, I do think there's a player in Szoboszlai. He just hasn't come to show it yet at Liverpool, and that's what I was alluding to before when I said you can put stop fanning around and get Guehi.
sleepy head.
There
Stop
you go.
There's around and get Guehi in.
Get him in. But that's what I said. Sometimes you can bring a good player into a squad and he just doesn't show, and that's what I was alluding to Conor Gallagher. Even though you keep telling me that he was their best player, I just didn't see it. But again, I'm not a supporter. But it's like I said, going back on to what these guys have said, it says, so let's move on from the painful memory of Ashley era to the current day. That is notable with our current transfer strategy, as that is an incredible familiar. With all of the additional financial firepower brought in by PIF, the target appears to be the same, young players with high sell-on potential. We have seen them manifested in the form of Minte, bought in from Odense for a reported 6 million and sold on to Brighton before even kicking a ball in anger for the turn for 30 million. If recent reports to be believed, Anthony Gordon could well be another young talent sold for a healthy profit if he makes that move to Liverpool. I said, I've seen.
Yeah,
I disagree.
I disagree with all of that. Minty was an anomaly.
Minty was unlucky, mate. Yeah, Minty was
an anomaly because we ended up with this financial black hole, FFP black hole. Yeah. Otherwise, there's no way. PIF are not buying players to sell on and make a profit. They want Newcastle to be number one, and that's their aim. They are buying players to play for the tune.
Yeah, but it's like I said before.
I could be naive, but that's my honest opinion.
No, but that's why I thought you've just done exactly what I expected you to do. That's why I wanted to read this out, because that's the reaction I expected from a lot of Newcastle fans.
That's nonsense, to be honest. For to suggest that PIF are adopting the same tactics as Mike Ashley is laughable, to be honest. That's not to say that they're not going to adopt the same tactics as Man City and Chelsea. In other words, build the academy so that if they're not quite good enough to make our first team, we will be able to make plenty of money off them.
Yeah.
Thus enabling the first team to be strengthened even more.
Yeah.
But to suggest that PIF are doing a Mike Ashley is doing them a great disservice.
Yes, that's what I was just going to say. I could understand where they've aligned the model of Mike Ashley, because obviously we all know that Mike Ashley was quite a money grabbing side at the best of times. But I do understand why they've put it in the same channel, because they've just looked at a few of the incomings and outgoings, and said, "Oh, that's a model. I can write about that. I can understand that." For me, Minte it was just unlucky. He just come back into the squad. You know, I've seen him at Brighton. He doesn't look the finished article by any standards. But you know, he could have supported our right wing, as we've seen Zanussi do on the left side. He could have been an equal, if obviously probably a little bit further down the road than Zanussi. To be fair, I don't want to give him sound as if I'm giving him an injustice. But I still think he could have supported us down that right wing. Don't think he was the solution, but I think he could have supported it. And just to finish off, what they've got here, it isn't just our outgoings that look a lot like the Ashley model. Our signings since the PIF takeover and the players we continue to be linked with virtually all share a clear trait: their youth. Alexander Isak was signed as a 22-year-old, obliterating our club transfer record in the process. Bruno signed for Newcastle, having not long turned 24, despite their combined transfers fees costing the club in excess of 100 million. Were either to leave in the current window, then it would likely take a bid in excess of their combined fees to sign either one. Now, for me, that's not the Ashley model. That's just a very, very good business head, a business brain. You know, if you can double the money that you paid, then surely, like, you know, Darren Hills has constantly said to us, every single player has a price, and every player will be sold if that price is matched to suit. Now, that's not that to me doesn't clarify or make any sense whatsoever to say that's the same as the Mike Ashley era, because Mike Ashley wasn't looking to double his money. He was just looking to make money. And that's totally different to what they're saying, is we're not willing to sell our players unless there's a bid that we can't turn down. There's a difference, isn't there?
It's like anything in life. You know, everything has got a price.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to read that out today, because that put a little question mark in my brain this morning when I was reading it, and I'm thinking, have I read this totally wrong?
Well, I mean, bear in mind, as has been said, you know, there's a few people in the chat mentioned it. All the mag is pundit's opinion. It's
yeah, of course it is.
You know,
they've got to write something, haven't they? I understand.
Yeah. That's just somebody's take on what's going on, and you know, you don't have to agree with it all. It is, in fact, it's not written in stone.
It's not fact. No,
but exactly. It's always worth a read, is the mag.
It is. I do enjoy the mag, I must admit, because they do write some good stuff. But you know, even that, I mean, the reasons why I've read that out today, guys, it wasn't to knock the mag. Don't get me wrong. I just wanted something to stir the juices, because, like, obviously, and it came in quite nicely when James was talking about, you know, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? We've been linked to so many players and we haven't gone and got them. And it was just interesting to link that. I suppose, few paragraphs to that point, is the fact that we aren't a buy to sell club anymore, because that's where we used to be. We're looking at the right players to come in and make our squad better, and we're also looking and you know, if you were to look into the nitty gritty, and this is what annoys me a little bit when I look at some of the fans that just want star names. You have to make the club future proof. And the only way you're going to make the club future proof is by going out there as well as, and instead of spending millions and millions of pounds and becoming a Chelsea, you do try and find those little gems that you can just go into the academy to come through. And we've seen a couple that are already starting to shine for us. And like I say, you're lucky if you ever get 1 in 20 from an academy that will make the grade as in a senior shirt.
And having said all of that, by the way, I was a great fan of the Kevin Keegan model. Just going by the best, just going by the best available right now.
Yeah.
That worked
But
very nicely, thank you. Forget about the reserve team, just go and buy best available.
I think back in that time, yes, I agree with you, because you had more chance of getting to that pinnacle, if you like, by getting the best 11 players you could afford, and we were close, but we still didn't win anything. And that's what I keep alluding to. You can go out there and spend as much money as you like. You can have the same philosophy as KK. I don't mind if we concede 3 as long as we score 4. It was lovely to watch. Hence, their nickname was the Entertainers. But I would rather win every game 1-0 and be as boring as hell, which I know we won't be. But as long as there's silverware at the end of that lining, and
Yeah,
that's the
I'll
way I
go
look
along
at
with
it now.
that. I will definitely go 1-0 to the Arsenal. That'll do it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know there's going to be people that question that, but you've been a supporter longer than I have, obviously. But I've been there since the age of 4. 71 was my first game I went to, and that was Big Mac's debut against Liverpool, where he scored his hat trick. And I was a Big Mac fan from then on in. I absolutely loved that type of centre forward, big, stocky, powerful player, and I fell in love with the club there and then. And I've never looked back. If I'm honest with you, there's not another club that's touched me in the heart as Newcastle has. But I've lost, like I said this before, but I'd lost a few years of that love because obviously my brain injury, and being on this channel has ignited that passion again. And that's what I said. And I don't always want to come across as being the person that just wants to be happy all the time about what Newcastle's doing. I want to ignite some of the passion and get the opinions of players, of fans that watch these players on a weekly basis. And it's not always going to be a nice read. And that's what I said. That to me didn't make me upset this morning. It just made me question mark what they were alluding to. And that's what I wanted to bring out to the fans. So, is there anything else you want to add to that before we go into
Just it's
things that
bollocks.
you've starred? Okay.
So we've got Lee saying, well, pretty much every player before the takeover, so this is alluding to the Ashley here, obviously, they're all riding out their contract. Bloody chances, because they were given far too big contracts.
Far too long. Yeah. But again, was there a reasoning for that lengthy contract? Again, that Selong thing, in his mind about if they'd only got 3 years, then if nobody comes in for them, then he's going to lose money on them. And I think that's what his thought process was regarding contracts. The longer the contract, the more chance he's got of getting them in the shop window and selling them on for a profit.
Tottenham have had that checkbook out a good bit this summer, and
They have.
I think I've only seen a couple, including one in the chat, which I can't find now, but referring to Kulishevsky.
Right. Well, he was linked to us, wasn't he?
Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times. Now, I wouldn't mind him at all.
Nor me.
And no. With the players that Tottenham are saying, he could be surplus to requirements. So he would do for me.
Crikey, Ken, I didn't realise that. They want 35 to 40 million for Bobby Clark. Seriously?
I hadn't heard that either, by the way.
What? That is ridiculous money. And they moaned at us for getting rid of Midday for 30 million.
I don't necessarily think it is ridiculous, but if you consider that we got that for Anderson.
Yeah, I suppose.
I think that. I mean,
I thought
Anderson
it was 15 to 20 million.
Older, so he's more experienced, etc., etc. But no, I think if you're wanting a top quality youngster, that's kind of the going rate now.
That's the type of.
I wouldn't pay that personally for him at the minute. He would have to do. Oh, Bobby Clark going to Leipzig for 6 million.
6 million. That's what I said. I'd seen that the RB Leipzig had come in with a 6 million bid, but obviously I don't know whether that was just for the loan 6 million deal, potentially to buy, perhaps.
Liverpool don't want that fee. It's around 16 million.
There you go. That's what I'd heard. 16 million. Which to me makes more sense.
Yeah, a lot more sense.
But he means Kubo, the right winger, apparently, not Kubus. Like I say, I'd heard of Kubus, but that was a gaming thing, something to do with the space thing that they'd linked up with. Let's have a look at some of the questions, because Ryan's put a question in.
We've got 115 watching, folks, and there's only 50 likes. Come on, get those likes hit.
We are banging the likes, guys. Lee McFarlane has put down Barnes has looked great since Chris recommended he go see the hoof doctor and fix his toe. Yeah, I must admit, he does look such a different player than he did at Leicester.
But again, will he start? I don't think he will. I think Gordon starts.
Should we bring
Unless
it up
they
now?
try him on the right.
No, I'm not going to bring it up now. I'm not going to bring it up now. I'm going to wait. Apparently, there was a behind the closed doors game yesterday that Tonali played in. I don't know who the opposition was, but there's been some touting out there that there was a game at Benton where nobody was allowed through the gates at all. It was completely blocked off while the game was being played. But I don't know who would have played in that. Like I say, because obviously the lads had only previously, on the previous day, played the Cellar Cup. So I can only assume that was
could have
some
been
of the
Tonali,
juniors.
of course.
Yeah. Some of the juniors would have been involved in that. Maybe some of the lads that didn't get enough minutes. But yeah, there's a lot going on there behind the scenes, trying to get Tonali back up to that match sharp fit again, if you like. Because I know he's been training all year, but there's a difference between training all year and playing a game, as you saw.
Niall's talking about Barnes there. I assume he was great for 20 minutes, then disappeared. And that's one of the reasons I think it's possible he might be used mainly as an impact sub. Because if you think about it, when he has come on as a sub,
he's been accepted.
He's invariably changed the game.
Yeah, absolutely. If you know, for me, I look at minutes in legs, and to be fair, I wasn't going to bring this up until we talk about the Southampton game, which will be later in the week when we did the match review. So I don't want to harp on too much about it, but for me, you know, you've got lads that have just come back from international duties, stroke long-term holidays, so they haven't got many minutes in leg. So yes, as much as I agree with you, there's going to be lads that start, but there'll be lads that start that actually have no chance of finishing. Now, when Niall's just put there that Barnes was disappeared for after 20 minutes, I disagree with that. He disappeared in the second half because he was playing in a different role altogether, as we've seen with the likes of other players that have played in different positions. When we went to a 4-4-1-1, Barnes wasn't anywhere in sight because the ball, unfortunately, was more in the breast possession rather than it was in the turn possession. So it's very difficult to be involved when you're conceding the ball a lot more. So when you look at our tactic at that time, Brest was outnumbering us in the middle of the park. Sometimes it was 5-2, 4-2, and they were taking the ball off us willy-nilly. And that's when it started he had to make a change, and obviously then he brought it back to the three in the middle when Hearns come on. And obviously at that point then the lads were starting to take it easy anyway. There was no reason to and again, I think that is from Eddie's command rather than anything else. He doesn't want people to get injured. He certainly doesn't want people to pull up with muscle injuries. And I'm sure, if memory serves me right, I have got an interview with. Now, the one concerning picture I was going to put up is this one, because there's reports. I don't know how true it is because I've been looking this morning. And this is going to kill us not kill us, but it's going to put a bit of a spanner in the works.
Oh no! Sure.
So Yeah, Shaw went out for, obviously, he got a bit of a bang to his ankle. And obviously, we were talking about it on the Geordie show last night, and Mason said that he'd got a bit of a bruise in there. Now, the reports this morning, he's got a slight calf strain. Now, again, that's not a major source, but if there is some type of strain there, he will not be playing the weekend, which leaves us totally open with only Kraft covering that position. So, does that make the Guehi situation a little bit more forced?
Honestly, I still think even if we're saying Guehi this week, I can't see him starting.
I didn't say starting.
It's not the
but
Eddie way.
No, I don't think he'll start. But what I'm saying to you is, at this present moment in time, apart from bringing Heffernan on or Stanton, who come on for him the
Oh, look at
weekend,
that! Hey, you've been found out, Gary.
by who?
Geordie Tune for life. That's an old picture because you've got a Castor top on.
Yeah, yeah, I know that was last year. But what I'm saying, that's the only picture I could find of him in that looking grimacing. So I'm not saying that was from the weekend. I'm not saying it was from the weekend. I've just got it as him grimacing.
Good spot though, GTFL.
Yeah, it's nice to know you guys are actually watching. So yeah, that's the reasons why I brought it up, because obviously there's a report. I mean, there's nothing him limping off there. It was more the fact that he was. There's somebody said this morning, and again, I don't know how true it is, that he's got a calf strain or a potential calf strain.
It was. I thought that when I saw that for a second, when I just saw it vaguely in the background there, I thought it was the Trips one, because I've seen the one of Trips injured on the pitch, which is not so much of a worry because you know, we've got Tino.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting problem in itself, which will come on later in the week.
Yeah, exactly.
What would be a starting 11?
Who's going to be the starting 11? And like I say, when you look at Chris had sent or shared quite a nice picture that the supporters team, I think it is, Newcastle United team support, I think it is, that put together, where you've got all of our youth players that have played pre-season, all of the new signings that have played, all on the park to try and pick your 11 from. Like I say, if there's any truth behind that share thing, you've got to start putting it with a little bit of thought into that process. And the only reason I was saying about the Guehi situation, does that put more pressure on us to sign another centre half? That's what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, preferably a right-sided one. But as Niall says there, shares made of titanium, he will be grand. And indeed, because how many times do we see Share go down and, you know...
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
He gets knocked down, but he gets up again. You're never going to keep him down.
Love it. Proper. No, the only reason I brought it up was, like I say, I hadn't seen anything official. It was just something that I'd seen, and again, it could be just clickbait. I'll just see where we go, because obviously, come Wednesday, we'll know a bit more about it. So yeah, everybody's telling us we've got a third bid in for Queenie's saying afternoon. She's been running late, bless you. Queenie, you're never late, sweetheart. You're always on time. It's just that we're early. No, I'm not. I'm just joking. Rooney Badgie, he's the best young right winger out there. He's talented, but injured. There are a lot of talent out there better than our first team. I'm sorry, saying there isn't much better than our squad is lying. What? Oh, I know what he's alluded to. Sorry, Ryan. I know what you're talking about. It's obviously Eddie's comments about having the right players in and not just bringing anybody in. He wants to better the side, and obviously Ryan's there saying a lot of players are better than our right wingers as we currently stand.
Well, just on the subject of right wingers,
yeah.
Who's heat? You know me and me heat maps.
That's Mark Guehi's heat map, isn't it? That's Mark Guehi's heat map. It's turned upside down. Look. If you look from the top down,
No. Well, we're attacking the top, so
I'm joking. Go on.
that's I want a right winger. That's where I want a right winger. The only thing is, I think that's probably just not enough here for Eddie.
Well, again, it's something that Eddie Mark brings into the player, isn't it? And that's what Louis Hall said. You know, when he came, it was that mentality of defence. You know, I mean, obviously we know Louis Hall has come back for a left back, but when he started to play in midfield, he was getting that mindset about the way Eddie Howe wants his right winger to drop back in. Anthony Gordon said exactly the same. Took him a real 6 months to get Eddie Howe's way into his head, and for him to be up to that type of fitness level where he could constantly make those transitions to fall back to left wing.
But whose heat map do you think that is?
Oh, blimey. Is he a Newcastle player?
No. A potential target.
One that we've been linked with.
Yeah.
Torres.
No, Madueke.
Oh, it's Mads. Okay.
And
when you say we've been linked with him, have we had? There's been no official link with him. It's only been Toon Talk,
well,
hasn't it?
That's the way I like it.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, when you look at certain individuals that we've looked at in the past, there's you know, as Ryan says, there is a hell of a lot of players that could play in that right-sided position, and I don't know why we talk, you know, why we haven't got anybody and blah blah blah. But there's obviously a caliber of player, and I think the reasons, and we said this before about, you know, how much money we spend on Guehi depends on how much money we spend on that right wing. That's
I don't
how
think it does. Honestly, I don't.
I know
think
you
it
don't,
does.
but that's how I do, because I can't believe we haven't been linked with. I mean, seriously linked with any right winger as of yet, or even tapped up. You know, we've heard lots of reports saying from outlets out there saying we've been linked with this guy, we've been linked with that guy. There has been nothing official from the club to say that that's the, like we have with Guehi. Nothing official from anywhere substantial, I should say. I know there's like I say, Keith Downey has put some bits and pieces on there, but there's been no approach apart from an initial contact, and that's all we've had reports of. So it's like I say, at this present moment in time, it does make me wonder whether it's just a case of waiting to see how much money we pay out for Guehi before we move on to him. What else was there out there? I'd seen.
I just had a question there.
Yeah.
Put in.
Have I missed it?
So, how can I?
What question was it?
That down there a bit. If I put this up, somebody's just asking Kulishevsky's heat map.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, it's somebody that we've been linked with very recently, quite heavily, apparently, according to reports. So, yeah, you see, that's
Kulishevsky.
That's an Eddie player.
That's an Eddie player.
Yeah, that's an Eddie player. That's 21-22 though, mate. So,
oh, sorry.
Yeah. But I mean, it proves the player, though, doesn't it? It doesn't have to be last season, but I'm saying it does prove the player of the type of impact player that he is, and he is a typical Eddie Howe player. Would Michael here has put down this morning on the BBC Sport website, Arsenal and are looking at Kingsley Coleman on loan. Would you have him on loan at the Toon? I think the biggest problem with Coleman is his wages. I think it depends on how much they're willing to, you know, to bring in and how much wages that Bayern Munich are expecting from any potential move, Mike. Because as of yet, I haven't seen. I know Arsenal were looking at him, but do Arsenal actually need him? I'm not sure. But yeah, I'd take him. Definitely take him if he come at the right money, and he was willing to play for us. I know he's got some injury issues, but again, it's about using them correctly rather than running them into the ground like we did last year. And I think there's a lot of lessons learned now. We've got James Bunsen, who's going to support behind the scenes all that medical issues. Shouldn't be as well. Fingers crossed. Shouldn't be as many as last year. Shouldn't be nowhere near as many as last year. The way we're going. Is this the up to date one, Win, that you're putting up now?
Well, that was.
Is that under
That
Arge?
was that's Kulishevsky last season.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's under Arge, where he's more attacking look. You see that?
So
because he's got the same type of mentality
but still
as Eddie.
Still very much Eddie-ish in terms of
yeah.
Plenty
he can do the
defensive
role.
attributes there. Despite being up there, and we know he's a good player.
Oh, absolutely. Unfortunately, I just don't think.
I don't know if Spurs
Tottenham would let him go, unless we obviously paid the money for him. Because that's like everything else, isn't it? Every player's got a valuation.
Indeed.
But it depends on the system that they play now, because obviously now they've brought in Solanke. Who are they going to play?
Hang on.
What?
I don't know for certain, but
this is an NUFC Talk TV special. Newcastle United breaking news. This is an NUFC Talk TV special.
And apparently, bid accepted for Guehi.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Is that from Sky Sports or anybody?
That's Harmeet saying that.
Oh, Harmeet's saying it?
Yeah. So I don't know where he's seen it, but...
I'm just looking to see if there's anything come up from any big...
Oh, you've just sent me right up the garden path there, homie.
Oh, he's not.
He's got
I was
there.
going to say there's nothing on there.
Has been accepted, and then he's saying, "I'm asking if it's been accepted."
Oh, oh my days!
So forget that breaking news.
Yeah. Hey, but it was good to actually bring it on.
It's a take it or leave it bit, apparently.
Oh, is it?
I don't know where this is coming from.
Well, that's going to be interesting.
Let's have a quick look here.
Yeah, I'm just typing in myself to try and get some info. Because even with all the ITKs on X, there's been nothing mentioned, so I'm surprised.
Breaking news. It says.
Very surprised.
Says Keith Downey saying made a third bid.
Yeah. And that's oh, where's my career guarantees you nothing.
Fabrizio Romano saying confident.
Yeah, confident the third bid's gone in. Yeah, I've just seen that. And the price looks...
And Manchester Evening News are saying it's 65 million.
Yeah.
Bid. So that's what they wanted. So
that's what they want. That's what I just said to you. They'll pay what they believe, especially if it's the player they want. By going in with the two cheeky bids, they've seen that there's been no movement whatsoever by Crystal Palace because they don't need the money. And obviously, what you've also got to take into consideration is the fact that if Guehi runs his contract down another season, he's going to be worth half the value.
Yeah.
And that's something that Crystal Palace in their current climate can't afford to do. So if Newcastle wanted to be a little bit sneaky, they
Well,
could
again,
just say,
you're
you know
saying
what?
that, you see, the problem that all the big clubs, if you want, sorry to use the expression, but the money now, the revenue generated by TV now, means that no club in the Premiership is really forced to sell because they've got sufficient revenue to pay for all their costs. You know, you're getting a minimum 100 mil on top of all your gate receipts and everything else.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not like the poverty pit now that you're going dipping in. Everybody is, you know, even you got the likes of your Bournemouth and whatnot who are strengthening their squads. They're not having to sell to survive.
No.
Once you reach the promised land of the Premiership, that's the position you're in.
Yeah, exactly.
So the only thing you've got to worry about, as is the case with Guehi at the minute with Palace, if they decide to go for it, and if I'm a Palace fan, that's what I want them to do. I want them to say, no, forget it. We're keeping our best players. We're going to have a shot. We're going to try and win something. We're going to try and get into Europe. And if I was a fan of if I was a Brighton fan, for example, they don't need the money that they've made off transfers over the past 3 or 4 years. They don't need to sell anybody.
No.
And I would want them to be buying and to have a go. You know, what's the point in supporting a team if the object is just you know, that's actually it's soul destroying. You want your team to have a go, and that means not selling your best players.
Yeah, exactly.
So the only way then that the bigger teams, if you like, can afford to get those players is to unsettle them by offering them stupid amount of wages.
Fabrizio Romano is also now reporting on Newcastle's interest in Madueke. That's 2 minutes ago.
All right. You say you heard it. That was the breaking news, right?
Yeah, that's the breaking news. Yeah. Again, that's just come through. Is exploring an initial loan with an obligation to buy next summer. Although it's unclear if that deal would appeal to Chelsea. Yeah, but again, it's unclear if that deal would appeal to Chelsea at this present moment in time. So again, that's another. As we said, you know, a lot of things are happening behind the scenes, but obviously they're looking for certain players. Obviously, if the 65 million was their target, I keep saying this. How much money have we actually got if we're looking at loan to buy for next season? And I keep saying it. And
you've already seen my back of the envelope thing, 150 mil.
It just makes me. I've just seen something else.
You know, if we pay 65, that's 13 million amortized 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's saying exactly the same regarding Guehi. There's actually nothing official yet saying there's an agreement in place. Everybody say around the 65 mark by the looks of it.
Yeah.
No, nothing come from that. So it could be up to 65 with add-ons. Say they've put a 60 million bid in with 5 million add-ons, because I know they were looking for 65 plus add-ons, weren't they? So let's see. Our mate Connor's just put in 2 minutes.
It's literally only Guehi we've been talking about for a fortnight.
How long? Yeah, how long? And that's what makes me, it just, and I think that's what's riling fans up, because they're saying, you know, they get to be frustrated that we seem to have stalled a little bit over this one position. You know what I mean? It's a bit crazy. Anything else in the chat, Win, that we need to?
No, it's all just gay.
Yeah, exactly. Like I say, guys, don't forget to, if you're watching over on X, to jump across and give us a thumbs up and a like.
I'm getting a bollocking here off Chris.
The breaking news music goes once, it is confirmed. As always.
Sackable offence, that.
Oh my days. He does make me laugh. He's so tense in the background.
Yes. Win was indeed done up like a kipper.
He was. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, I always look. I've got this rolling in the background at the moment, just seeing if there's anything coming while we're online. But obviously, we are back on at 10 o'clock tonight. We've got I think there's 5 or 6 of us on the chat, so hopefully we can bring you some more news and up-to-date stuff from that. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few hours, because there's still lots talking about it, and again, nothing has come up conclusive as of yet. So watch this space. I think I'm virtually done. Is there anything else in the chat that we need to? Has anybody questioned anything?
Quickly trying to whip through it all.
I'm, like I say, apart from
I agree with Geordie Dan there.
Yeah, well, hopefully. I mean, like I say, if that's, like I say, if it is all false, and we aren't struggling for money, and like I say, I'm still to be proven wrong.
Now, be careful with the breaking news. Could be called clickbait. No, because there was nothing in the thumbnail to say anything like that.
No.
So the only people who saw the breaking news were already watching.
Yeah. And like I say, it wasn't really anything to do.
Win hasn't got the red button, or it'll be all over.
Yeah, the missiles. Yeah, the missiles are coming.
Incoming.
No, anyway, we could spend hours and hours keep watching the screens to see if there's anything coming our way, and as of yet, we still haven't got anything. But like I say, if anything does come between now and 10 o'clock, I'm sure we can jump on and do a quick yes. So we'll keep you informed, guys. But again, thanks to everybody in the background. Thanks to all the mods. Thanks to everybody that contributed with the questions. Thanks to my mate, the Mighty Win, for support, as always, my right-hand man. And obviously, I've got to give a big shout out for the man in the background, Chris, that does a lot of work behind the scenes to get the channel moving forward. But again, until 10 o'clock tonight, it's a goodbye from him.
Smash the likes. Get over, smash the likes.
Yeah. How many have we got on your screen, Win?
I've got 70 odd up to now.
Oh, guys, you've...
Come on, we've got over 200 watching. Get that likes up to 100.
Come on.
Spread the word.
Yeah,
and if you haven't subscribed, by the way, subscribe. All this great free content.
Yeah, daily content all the time. But like I say, instead of just harping on about rubbish until we find out for facts, we're going to say goodbye now, because obviously I'm going to go and do some research and what's going on behind the scenes and try and find out. And
Long
if
live
anything
and
comes
prosper.
up, yeah. If anything comes up, we'll jump back on and we'll hit the breaking news there and then. But for now, it's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from him. How will